Hey everybody, it's Everyman with Everyman's 40K channel. And so this is our second video of the towel project. What we're going to do is first we're going to go ahead and we're going to break this apart. And then once we get this all broken down, we're going to go ahead and get it into prime. So here you can see the base. We'll go ahead and set that aside. We'll work that later. And then I'm showing you here, these are just the pins, how we went ahead and we pinned this together during the assembly stage. So we go ahead, we just slide them out, nice tight fits, perfect, precision, deadly. Nice little twist and a pull, and this pin will come out of the center. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, we're going to get this stuck on some chopsticks and then head outside to prime because it's kind of a big model, so we don't want to prime in the house. So we'll come back. All right, we got this thing primed now. Let it dry for a couple days, or at least one day. So now I'm going to show you my master airbrush. I believe this is like the 233. If you go on Amazon or Walmart, it's the Master Airbrush Kit 233. It comes with a 0.5, 0.3, and a 0.2 needle and seat. We're going to go ahead with the 0.5 today because we're going to be spraying some metallic as well as quite a large model. We got some over here mixed up. So we want the consistency of whole milk. Again, I continue to say that when you're mixing up your paints, you want it not super thin, right? You don't want it watery because basically you just end up shooting water and it'll just kind of run and bead all over the place. So what you want to do is you kind of want a consistency of whole milk, right? And that's typically what airbrushers will tell you. I have about 30 psi at the tank. We're going to go ahead and be shooting this somewhere around anywhere between 15 and 20. So sort of high pressure, kind of middle pressure, I guess you'd call it. All right, let's get started. All right, so now that we went ahead and strategically placed our brazen brass, right? Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to take hairspray, okay? And we're going to take hairspray and we're going to spray it using our airbrush. And this is essentially a chipping medium. So we're going to go do the old school hairspray method. So some of us old guys, this is what we used to use to chip back in the day when they used to actually make hairspray in that old style aerosol can. So I'm setting the PSI down. Now we're going to go around to 8. Okay, so half of what we use to spray the brazen brass. We do not want the hairspray to go everywhere. So we do kind of want a controlled spray, as you can see right there. Basically what I'm doing is I'm checking out the cone and what type of spray pattern I'm getting, and I just use my table to do it. Okay, time to let it dry. All right, so we got this done. Let's go ahead, pick this bad boy up, do a little inspection. We have our brazen brass and our hairspray strategically placed for some chipping later. And now what we're going to do today is we're going to paint the bottom. And what we're going to do is we're going to go with a sky blue. We're going to go with the old World War II idea of painting aircraft or, things coming out of the sky, flying around above you. A blue color so that, they're camouflaged with the sky. So I guess that's what they used to think back in, 1943. So again, we get the airbrush out. We got the 0.5 still because, again, the big model, big surface. We're going to take some of this custom blue that I made. That's why it's in this little special thing I bought at Hobby Lobby. This little bottle actually works pretty good. Only paid like $4.99 for 3 of these. We go ahead, get some water. Again, we're going to thin the consistency out to whole milk. Maybe a tad bit thinner because we do want this paint to lay down nice and smooth, no overspray. We're going to mix it right in the cup. And then you'll notice I keep kind of going back and forth, a little bit of mixing, a little bit of water, just making sure we get the consistency right. And then pick the model up and we start spraying. All right, just a few final touches here, and then we're done. What we'll do is we'll put this down and probably give it, overnight to dry. I think I'm doing this in the evening just before it's time to hit the rack. So yeah. All right, up next is our Home Depot paint. Here's the color. We're going to go with a kind of a gray with just a little bit of blue in it. We're going to thin this out with Windex. And yes, Windex. Just like we used hairspray, people have been using Windex forever to thin out airbrush paint. Go ahead and Google it if you don't, believe me. But again, trust me, I'm going to show you. This stuff works. No problem at all. The Windex has ammonia in it, which is evaporative, so it's just like adding alcohol, like isopropyl or something to a fluid, right? What you're doing is you're adding an evaporative property to the paint, as well as just the ammonia and the chemicals of Windex breaks down this Home Depot paint or any kind of acrylic paint. Again, I found this out when I was actually a young kid painting old Ralpartha miniatures when Citadel used to actually be the miniature company. And again, like I said, Google it. Trust me. So let's go ahead and watch. We're going to start thinning. 2 or 3 shots in here, and then we're going to go into painting. Same thing here, just always testing our spray pattern, right? Seeing how much paint comes out, the consistency, the viscosity. Is this kind of what we want, you know? And yeah, I guess I'm happy with it, and we start going with it. So this is it. All right, after a good bit of drying time, I'm going to go show you this bright ivory and this khaki. And this is our first big decision that I had to make. Do I go with a khaki or do I go with the bright white? And basically, it's the secondary color of the model that will be going down the middle and other panels. And as you can see here, we went ahead and I went with the khaki color because we need the white to kind of do other things with, and you'll see later. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm just preparing, I think, okay, we have the 0.3 needle in here now. We want a little bit more control, less overspray, and a little bit more refinement in our pattern. Okay, so finally we're going to get into some brush work. Here I got a camel color from Model Masters, and then this Vallejo color right here from Model Color. I mean, these got to be the same company, or Vallejo bought these the Model Master from Tester or whoever, because these two camel greens are the exact same color. So you can see I got my wet palette out. I think this is maybe the first time that you've ever seen me use a wet palette. So they do work. I love them. Keeps your colors consistent and allows them to flow better. And you know, number one is they don't dry out, so you can mix your colors. Especially if you got a custom color that you're mixing right on the palette, especially the wet palette, that particular color will last for a long time. It won't dry out. Like say if you used a ceramic tile and you were mixing your colors on a plate or something that was just, you know, out to the air. So here we're blocking in. And we are going to block in this whole model. So I'm going to try to speed this up, but essentially look how fast I'm working. At this stage, you're just looking at smoothness and consistency. Ultimately, you're trying to reduce the brush lines or the brush marks in the paint, in your top coat. So again, a little bit of thin paint, you know, thin it out a little bit. You don't want super thick, because if that's how you're going to get brush lines and brush strokes visible in your colors. All right, so now that we're done blocking this in, now we're going to go into actually some repairs. So you may be interested in this next section. We have a 3D printed model, and sometimes when you 3D print, depending on the resolutions, you'll get the little layer lines, right? That will be present in your model, especially on concentric areas, or, you know, concaved or convexed, curved, you know, like a ball. Like if you were trying to 3D print a ball, you would get the lines across there. So I'm going to show you how to repair certain areas. And I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to grab some oils, and I'm gonna show you, because it's hard. You can't see it until you actually start painting it or dry brushing. But look how those rings show up. Looks like lifelines on a tree, or rings on a tree, right? Let me go ahead and do a little cleanup here, and then I'll bring it in for you to check it out. You can see right there. See how those oil colors just sat right down in those grooves? Highlighted it, looks like a fingerprint. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to get rid of that. So we're going to take off the oil. We're just going to get rid of it. I only did that just to show you the lines. And we're going to go over here and we're going to grab an X-Acto blade. And because this is a nice flat little surface, nice flat little area. So I'm going to get the khaki out. I'm just showing you. Got the order kind of wrong, but there. I sharpened the blade, okay. Basically took like a little piece of sandpaper and just sharpened that blade, cleaned it up. But you go in here, and very similar how you would scrape mold lines off of a plastic miniature back to the base of the miniature, you know, so that your mold lines, you can't see your mold lines when you dry brush and paint. Well, this is what I'm doing here. So we have all this paint built up. So I scrape and scrape and scrape and clean. And I'm watching and I can see, you see how you got the edges are kind of starting to look like they've been weathered. And again, just smooth, going over this and over this and over this. Now, the next stage, okay, after you get this scraping done, you're going to see me go back into the khaki paint, and I'm going to put it on the wet palette, and I'm going to introduce some water, okay? I'm going to get the paint thin enough that it ends up being like a glaze. So we go into the paint, and then over to the right-hand side, you can't see, but that's actually where my water cup is at. And so that's why you see the brush take off over to the right and then come back, goes over to the right and comes back. Well, basically what I did is I introduced some more drops of water right next to this khaki paint right on the wet palette. And you can see what I'm doing is I'm stippling, or I'm tapping the water, like the brush and the paint, and I'm tapping it across that surface and letting it flow. Then as this wet paint flows, okay, it kind of bonds together or flows together, right? It's like if you put a drop of water on one part of a plate, and then you put another drop of water next to it, but not touching, okay? So each one is going to make a drop, okay? Their own little drop on the plate. But as soon as you take a toothpick and you break the surface tension between the two drops, and you touch the two together, they all of a sudden just flow and they become one drop. Well, this is the same process I'm doing right here. I'm taking the water and the paint content at such a level, or such a volume, that it just flows. And now watch, the light is going to hit it here. I'm going to bring it closer, and you're going to see the light right there. See how that light reflects? See that reflection? And I call it good, because that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that smoothness and that reflection off that surface. Once I got that, and I know that is baby smooth, that is the same as if I would have sprayed that with an airbrush, like painting a car, and got the acrylic lacquer to lay down like baby smooth. Okay, so let this dry, and then we'll come back. After everything's dry again, it is now time to wash this bad boy in a concoction of oils. So what we do is we take some brown and we take some black, and we're going to wash it. Now you can see there, I kind of started already. Basically, I was testing my consistency of my oils in my cup. Here is a section of the aircraft, or the Devilfish, the cargo or troop compartment, and you can see I've already oiled it, and I started painting. Okay, so you can tell that I've already put some brand new khaki color over the top of the oils. And again, I'm just running tests at this point, so I can make sure that the whole model is going to look good. So we're going to get some ivory black out, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to get some burnt umber. Okay, and as I've said, burnt umber is your go-to color for like oils or even washing. So here is the secret, okay, and I'm always going to give you guys secrets. Brown is dirty, black is oily. Okay, if you guys can understand what I'm saying, okay, especially with aircraft or tanks or whatever, brown is dirty, black is oily. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about what we've got done. So I've pushed this project forward considerably. It's so slow. My painting process is, as I've told you guys before, I do not do commission painting because I'm just slow as molasses. But look at this. I've started the weathering. I've started the rusting. You can see just the rain, how it's been kind of dripping or mud or dirt down the side. It looks like streaks. The bottom is scraped up from all the landings it's done, hitting the pavement, hitting the dirt. Again, that was with our chipping medium, so that's how I got that bottom to look like that. If you remember, going back, we hairsprayed that bad boy, and basically we applied some water and broke it down using the chipping medium method. But again, hairspray as our medium. I've painted the little side clamps or little lift things that kind of lift the pot up and drop it down. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to duplicate that effort. The crew compartment was, again, another test. I used the crew compartment as a guide, or basically if I was going to make a mistake, I wanted the mistakes to be on the crew compartment. Let's bring out this blue color here, this gray blue. This is the only time in this whole model that I've dry brushed. So basically what I did is I'm showing you that I used this natural hair mop. I bought this again, Hobby Lobby, $5 and some cents. Again, it's natural hair, so very soft, and it is excellent for dry brushing, like super good. But essentially I dry brushed already that big surface because I didn't want to go in there and hand detail every last little bit out underneath. So now I'm showing you the difference. You see over here where I've already painted the green and I've started to work with the camo color. And if you look at the oil, see right here and a couple other spots, we kind of want that to look, see, and again I cleaned it up here, but we kind of want those oil marks from the washing to stay a little bit. That's how we're going to get that grim dark look or grim dark feel. Now this next stage, I'm just showing you again the color, olive drab. It's just your basic olive. So good. It's such a good color. We're going to use a small brush, and it's time to get to work. And this is where it took me forever. Each individual panel I painted. Okay, so here we go. This section of the video, you can tell, is time-lapsed. And I just want to do that to speed up the video because we're already probably over 40 minutes and this is only half. So I go in and I basically kind of retouch everything up in the green camo. And then I just showed you the khaki color because I start to wet blend some of that khaki color right into that green. So you can see here I'm kind of put highlights together, blending it back, basically smoothing it out, blend it back, add a little bit more green, add a little bit more khaki, back and forth until it's the color I want. Lighter towards the front, darker towards the rear, and it's very similar to, again, just how I envision it in my head when we used to be kids and we used to color with coloring books with crayons and used to kind of try to shade the little cells or the areas that the color book artist gave you, or even those old school paint by numbers little palettes that we used to buy or used to get where you wanted to paint by a number. So again, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, constantly. Green and khaki, back and forth, back and forth. And you can just see here. So I'm going to go ahead and shut up, let you check this out. At one point, okay, I start to introduce oils back into the paint. And I blend the oil and the dirtiness of the oil right into the khaki. And basically try to get it smoothed out right here. Here comes the oils. And watch this blending. You see how I'm just rubbing the crud out of that surface? And look at that blend. Look at that mix of the oil and the acrylic. Just, I don't know. Yeah, you're not supposed to do it, but it's doing it. I mean, you can tell. Look at those buttery, smooth blends. I love it. I mean, and it adds an element of kind of, like I said, brown is dirt, black is oil. Now on to the next panel. So you got the little front clip of the engine nacelles, right? That little front clip that we just painted green. Now we have the little panel section behind it. And as I stated earlier in the last section, this is panel by panel or section by section, okay? Took me forever. Anyway, you can see. So basically we do the same thing. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to speed this up, and I'm going to go now from the greens, and we're going to go into the blues. Just putting the final touches on the green. Look at that. I mean, that's, yeah, that blend. Okay, now let's go ahead and grab the blue, and we're going to start the blue a little bit on the wet palette, and here we go. And here is coming up some pictures right here of the finished product. Well, not finished. I mean, we still have a lot more details to do. But as you can see, I moved this forward again. Another section, I added some orange, painted the nacelles black, painted the little exhaust port silver. But yeah, it's looking really good. Okay, so then we're going to go into this next section now. Day by day, we're getting a little bit closer here. So I just want to show you the composition of the model. So as you can see, we've got the blues up front going across the front section of the aircraft, but in the back we went gray. So we sort of transitioned, and you got to kind of look at the model and see and kind of look like, okay, I see what he did. And from the front blue all the way to the back, we transitioned from, you know, bright blue to kind of a muted or off-color gray. We painted the antennas white, Payne's gray black, some white to again build up contrast, and then drop some orange. Okay, so orange is kind of our highlight color or our hot color that we, you know, typically you'll see my models. I put hots and colds together for much greater impact. Reds and blues, oranges and purples, things like that from the color wheel. So we're going to work on the front. What I'm going to show you is basically some OSL, so objective source lighting, and it's going to come from the little eye on the front of the head there. Okay, enjoy. Time to get out our bright ivory, a little bit of a highlight color on the front of that nose piece, or that little lens there. So go ahead, we mix some up or shake it up, right, drip right into the cup. We're going to add a little bit of the water and then just spray a little bit just to brighten that OSL up on the face of that robot, or that little area there. Add a little bit of water, thin it out. We're going to do a couple little spray tests over here on the right hand side. See, like right here. Just trying to see how much we got to pull that back, see, without like destroying the model. There, nice and tiny little pattern. At this point in the project, I don't know why, but I just felt it kind of necessary to take care of the front lens. I have no idea why, I'm like tackling this when there's plenty more to do painting wise all over this model. So I just kind of felt like, I want to put together an eye, right? So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so we're about the 40-minute mark. I have another whole set of videos where we detail this out. So I'll go ahead and put together approximately another 40-minute video that explains, again, weathering, everything down into the details. Okay, so stay tuned. We got what we'd call the second half. Please hit that subscribe button, smash that notification bell, and tell all your friends on social media that I'm out here. And like we always say, may your dice rolls come up sixes unless you're looking for that one. Peace out, everybody.